Hello, hello, hello. Trying this again. Always getting some kind of issues. But hey. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back for episode 17. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hey, so there's a few things that I want to get in on here and really talk about. And I really want to share some of the videos and see what you guys have to see or say. So let's get started on that. Hey, so today, first things first, Senator Bernie Sanders talking about some crazy shit as usual. Democrats going in about new voting laws, stuff like that. And this is something I really want to share with you guys because it really got my jocks twisted in a knot. And like it's something that I completely and wholeheartedly disagree with. So anyway, to give you guys a little bit of reference, last night, I believe it was last night, and Bernie Sanders was at the town hall meeting, CNN special. And so I want to share a clip with you guys about what happened here. So enjoy it.
Senator Sanders, you have said that you believe that people with felony records should be allowed to vote while in prison. Does this mean that you would support enfranchising people like the Boston Marathon bomber, a convicted terrorist and murderer? Do you think that those convicted of sexual assault should have the opportunity to vote for politicians who could have a direct impact on women's rights?
Okay, thank you for the question, Ann. And let me just say this. What our campaign is about, and what I believe, is creating a vibrant democracy. Today, as you may know, we have one of the lowest voter turnouts of any major country on earth. I want to see us have one of the highest voter turnouts. And by the way, what we're seeing is more young people getting involved in the political process, but not enough. And in my view, if young people voted at the same percentage that older people voted in this country, we would transform this nation. But to get to your point, we live in a moment where cowardly Republican governors are trying to suppress the vote. And in fact, right here, as you may know, in New Hampshire, the legislature and the governor are working hard to make it more difficult for young people to vote. And to me, that is an incredibly undemocratic, un-American process. And I say to those people, by the way, if you don't have the guts to participate in free and fair elections, you should get another job and get out of politics. All right? So we got to... So here is, and to answer your question, as it happens in my own state of Vermont, from the very first days of our state's history, what our Constitution says is that everybody can vote. That is true. So people in jail can vote. Now, here is my view. If somebody commits a serious crime, sexual assault, murder, they're going to be punished. They may be in jail for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, their whole lives. That's what happens when you commit a serious crime. But I think the right to vote is inherent to our democracy. Yes, even for terrible people. Because once you start chipping away and you say, well, that guy committed a terrible crime, not going to let him vote. Or that person did that, not going to let that person vote. You're running down a slippery slope. So I believe that people who commit crimes, they pay the price. When they get out of jail, I believe they certainly should have the right to vote. But I do believe that even if they are in jail, they're paying their price to society, but that should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy.
Applause for the answer. My follow question goes to this being like you're writing an opposition ad against you by saying you think the Boston Marathon bomber should vote not after he pays his debt to society, but while he's in jail. You sure about that?
Well, Chris, I think I have written many 30-second opposition ads throughout my life. This will be just another one. But I do believe, look, this is what I believe. Do you believe in democracy? Do you believe that every single American 18 years of age or older who's an American citizen has the right to vote? Once you start chipping away at that, believe me, that's what our Republican governors all over this country are doing. They come up with all kinds of excuses why people of color, young people, poor people can't vote. And I will do everything I can to resist it. This is a democracy. We've got to expand that democracy. And I believe every single person does have the right to vote.
All right, so we're living in the world of a crock of shit, apparently. Now, let me get this out of the way first and foremost, okay? The only one part that I agree with Senator Sanders is that once felons and prisoners get out of jail and start to become contributing members to society, then yes, I agree that they should be given back their right to vote. However, every single other thing that he said, with all of my being and everything that I am, I disagree wholeheartedly. I disagree to the very core of my body that this represents a contradiction to my values and beliefs. People in prison do not, and I say again, do not have the same rights and freedoms as law-abiding citizens, free to roam Americans in this country. They do not have the right to liberty, as they made the decision to ruin other people's lives and take away liberties from their victims by murdering them or being sex offenders and being convicted of crimes like rape, child molestation. They do not have the right to privacy. They are not protected against illegal search and seizure. Now, these are not the people that you want to have any influence or opinion in American politics as they serve behind bars. I completely disagree. And this was just so infuriating to see that specifically in the case of the Boston Marathon bomber. Yeah, let him vote. Yeah, we're going to be chipping away, because if we start limiting the rights to votes to people behind bars, man, get out of here. This is so fucking stupid. Now, how in the name of fuck can any person in their right mind think that it is okay for someone like the Boston Marathon bomber to be allowed to vote in American elections? I mean, you saw the videos. Even the woman asking the questions wasn't even giving an applause. I think she was fucking dumbfounded by the shitty response that she was given from Bernie Sanders. Why would the Boston Marathon bomber give any right to have a voice in politics when that man is about to ride the last ride of his life, laying in that execution chair with a needle in his arm? So I believe he's got the death penalty, and he's waiting to see his creator, any god or devil that he wishes to see. We're going to expedite that process. Tell that to the victims, Senator Sanders. Go out there and meet a few of them. The lost body parts, had their loved ones die. Say, hey, I want this guy to vote for me, because that's what the entire ploy is about. Is that Bernie Sanders wants to get these people the right to vote because he knows that more than likely that these are the kind of people that will vote for him in the presidential election. That's the only reason why. He doesn't give two shits. Go out there and meet a victim of that Boston Marathon bombing, and say to him, I want the criminal to vote for me. Will you vote for me too? Out of your fucking mind. Go to the families of the victims of sexual assault. People like molest their children, and say, like, I want this guy to vote for me. Is that okay? What do you think? Fucking coward. He probably wouldn't even go out and meet anyone like that and tell it to their face. Because that's obscene. Get the fuck out of here, Bernie. It's absolutely insane. It goes against our core values here in the United States and most Americans. And of course, if anyone didn't know that this happened, or that this wasn't even said, no one would even know. Opening up your computers at work, your cell phones, on social media, you wouldn't see this being blasted out everywhere. You know why? Because it was, one, CNN town hall, and of course that's not part of the agenda for the left. I could put in Bernie Sanders, right? Let's see here. Bernie Sanders. Let's Google just Bernie, good old dumb shit. All right, here we go. All. What's the top news stories? Bernie Sanders grilled on socialism by Harvard student. Joe Biden looms, but Bernie Sanders is running his own race. I was Bernie's biggest critic in 2016. Just gave his best political answer on impeachment during the CNN town hall. You know? Because this is not part of the left's agenda to let the people know that this is the dumb shit that he's saying. An absolute disrespect to the victims of the Boston Marathon bombing. And it's absolute disrespect to the core values of the American people and what we stand for. Because I hate to tell you, prisoners do not get the same rights as free, roaming, law-abiding Americans in this country, and residents, by the way. No way, shape, or form. That is why they are behind bars, because we took away their right to liberty. They are not free people. Their opinions don't mean much of shit, depending on on who it is. You know, serial killers. Fuck you. Boston Marathon bomber, fuck you. Child molesters, no one's going to have any fucking sympathy for them. And to go on, the caveat on the other shit that he's saying about Republicans are finding any kind of excuse to create a law to prohibit the voting rights for minorities. Show me where that fucking happens. I'm not saying that it does or doesn't, because I don't really know. And if you, the viewers out there, happen to know of any kind of case where there's a Republican politician out there trying to limit the rights of voting to minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, whatever, please share it with me. I would like to know, because if they are, then fuck them too. But this is absolutely insane. I don't agree with it. I don't see that why any politician, left or right, would be wanting to limit and constrict more right of voting from free law-abiding Americans. Now, like I said at the beginning, the only part that I do agree with wholeheartedly is that once a person transitions out after serving their time in prison and behind bars, to help them reintegrate into society, I believe that they should have the right to vote after that. But not while they're behind bars. Because some of them are not even going to get out at all. Oh, man. Getting my mustache here all looking wild up and tickling my nose, man. I'm telling you, this really put my jocks in a fucking knot and really, really upset me about this, because I think that is just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. You know, and I think it's such a slap in the face to the American people. Slap in the face of the victims of the perpetrators of these crimes. It is not like there's any kind of allegations towards these people. These are convicted felons behind bars, actively serving time, because they did something stupid, because they thought it was okay to harm other people, to kill other people that didn't have a choice. And like I said, please, if you know of any situation, any current event out there where a Republican politician is limiting the rights of voting or is trying to create laws to prohibit voting from minorities or from other law-abiding free people, please let me know. I would like to see it. Because as of right now, I'm calling bullshit on it. On every single word out of his damn mouth. I call them bullshit. I don't believe it. This is like devalues how I view Bernie Sanders now. And that the left is really coming up with some weird ass shit to try to come up and try to win this upcoming election. I mean, they're coming out with some weird stuff, man, and it's fucking upsetting. I mean, like, it should be insulting. And it's only for him so he could try to get more votes. That's exactly it. You know, the entire thing about trying to let 16-year-olds vote, you know, that was because they know that the younger generation is more likely to vote Democrat. But hey, he won't give you a direct answer. Just like we saw here on the clip. You know, he was beating around the bush, trying to give his explanation, just like any other kind of limp dick politician. And it's not going to give you a direct yes or no, but wants to scheme around it to try to beat around the bush. Because there is an ulterior motive behind why he wants to do this, and that's because he wants to get those votes. That's why. We know it. And I see through it. I recognize it. I'm a good smeller of bullshit from a mile away. I'm not a highly educated man, but I am a good figure-outer. But this takes the cake, man. Now here's the contradicting logic. That Bernie was saying that if we chip away the rights to vote from convicted felons, from people behind bars, then it's going to open up a door to taking away more civil liberties away from the people of the United States. Well, here, think about it. This is flawed logic when we're talking about prisoners and people behind bars actively serving time for felonies they've committed. Here's the logic. Well, if we start giving them the right to vote, maybe we should give them back their Fourth Amendment rights. Or maybe we should give them back the right of liberty. Or maybe we should give them back, because it works both ways, Bernie. It's flawed logic. You see how we could go farther and farther down this rabbit hole? I see through this bullshit. And even the host was like, hey, you know, you're going to be opening up Pandora's box here for, you know, getting bad press coverage about what you're saying. You sure you really want to be saying this? Blah, blah, you know? I mean, even look at the woman that asked the question. She wasn't even applauding. Because I'm sure she was just amazed about the response that she got from Senator Sanders. There was a reason why she asked that question, because I'm just jumping to conclusions and I'm making assumptions here. But I would believe, and I would think that this woman that asked the question believed that they should not have the right to vote, and I agree. You know, it's crazy. The host saw the bull. I mean, like, look at Bernie on the video. I mean, he looks like he's crazed and deranged, man. Just out there. And this is the far left socialistic views. And no. I mean, it's just absolutely out of this fucking world. You know, and I would like to get your guys' thoughts on this. This is my opinion, you know, and this really did get me upset. And this was something that I was very passionate about, that I wanted to share. And I really wanted to make it known to the people out there and to all the viewers that this is the kind of crazy stuff that's happening on the left. And I'm a guy that swears. That's the way that I get my point across. And it's the way that I like to express myself. And I apologize if that is something that you're not used to, or you're not, you know, that you don't agree with. But I'm going to swear. That is just who I am. And my military background and my upbringing, that's just something that... And this is how I express myself. Because this is bullshit. But I'd like to get what your thoughts are. Should prisoners behind bars have the right to vote in American elections? And that, is it really true that Republicans, because he gave a blanket statement that mostly generalizing that all Republicans are really trying to employ the silent potential voters. Do you think that that's true? Please share with me your ideas, your comments, what you think. If you agree with me, if you don't, think I'm full of shit, whatever. I'd like to get your point of view on it. And please, if you have any kind of collaborating evidence about Republicans really trying to limit the voting rights of minorities and law-abiding Americans, please let me know. Because I would like to see it. And I like to call through the bullshit on that too, because I don't agree with it. Everyone should have the right to vote in America. If you're a citizen, if you're a law-abiding citizen. Now, we can move on. Wanted to get that off my chest. Wanting to help. This is a way that I vent through my frustrations. So thank you for bearing with me. Now, moving on. Now we're on to another chapter of the Mueller report that just continues to loom, apparently. And I will be the first to admit that I was wrong, that this was going to blow over in the next week or two, because now it seems like it is going to continue on, and the Democrats are going to try to pull every little aspect and squeeze every last bit of that fucking juice out of there. Of collusion and obstruction is now the newest thing. Again, I feel like I must cover this again because of the most recent updates of what is going on. I want to bring this up because I have not read the Mueller report in its entirety, and I am feeling somewhat divided in what's going on with the facts and opinions and comments and the summarization of what's going on in the Mueller report, because I don't really trust news outlets taking tidbits and summarizing what's going on in the Mueller report. So I'm going to give you guys the heads up, basically, that I haven't read the Mueller report fully. I'm really contemplating about doing it. I think they're going to be releasing it out of a book kind of here soon, next week. And I'm probably going to buy it just because I want to take the time to read the 300 plus pages and really stick it to people that are taking it, that may be taking it out of context on what the details. But I will give you guys what I have kind of gathered through different sources. And again, I'm feeling really divided about this topic, and I almost feel like I want to stay away from it and kind of not bring it up, because I don't want to get into an argument or in a debate or a conversation when I don't really have the strong facts here in my pocket. You know what I mean? So I got a great friend of mine, and he's been debating me about it, and I really want to get him on the show, but he's giving me issues. But anyway, and I've debated about it too, because I'm taking and I'm rebutting with him with stuff that I gathered from third-party sources instead of directly from the report itself. Anyway, but the Democrats have brought it up now, and that they want to push for impeachment of President Trump due to the describing evidence of obstruction of justice. Apparently, I'm not going to use the word alleged, but apparently there is throughout enough supporting evidence, I guess. But however, there's not enough evidence for them to file charges. So this is where I'm seeing a back and forth. I don't know really what the hell to believe, even though I'm going to try to subconsciously and consciously lean more towards the right. Anyway, now from the tidbits that I have read as summaries is that President Trump exercises authority of firing Comey, even though there was a midst of an investigation, and requested that certain people should not be investigated. I believe it was Flynn. The president apparently had said to the FBI, hey, or to the director, hey, don't probe into this. And that an investigation shouldn't be started. But is this obstruction? I mean, it happened anyway. Did it really prohibit anyone investigating into this? Did it really prohibit Mueller from doing his job of investigating by firing the director? Is that really going to put a halt to the operations of an investigation? I'm going to say no. I don't think so, because the director himself is not going to be conducting the investigation. Obviously, it gets delegated to other investigators and other special agents to do the investigation, and I don't think the firing of Comey really had any effect or drawback or setback on the investigators themselves. I may be wrong, but that's the way I feel, and that's what I've kind of gathered from it. But what was it obstructing? I want to know. I mean, like, if you guys have more solid facts and opinions on this, I would like to know, what was he actually obstructing? I mean, it was found that there was no collusion, that there's evidence supporting the no collusion, or at least evidence stating that there is not enough evidence to support the claim or the elements of collusion or obstruction. But what was it really obstructing? Did it really obstruct anything, right? The Mueller report's out. The evidence is there. So if it was obstructing, it would have obstructed. I don't know. Investigation into a possible campaign fraud, that the Russian government had paid money to the Trump's campaign, or that they hacked the DNC. Do you really think that this should happen? I think there is the hacking of the DNC by the Russian, but I mean, like, so was putting out the DNC emails showing that, Hillary had fraudulently won the primaries. That's fact. No one gives a shit about that anymore. But I'm not saying that because by putting the comparison of Hillary and Trump that, one's worse than the other. I just think that this is all just crazy nonsense. And Elizabeth Warren, she's going off, causing a shitstorm of, we're going to start impeachment. We're going to impeach. And then you got the other Democrats, like AOC, Ilhan Omar, the infamous three, that they're going to support the impeachment process of President Trump. As I've stated in previous episodes, I don't feel that Russia even gives two shits about about interfering in our election, nor would it work out in their favor anyway. Does it look like we are buddy with Russia now? I believe now we're even getting farther divided away from any kind of relations with Russia. So how is this showing any positive favoritism into the Trump's campaign? And if Russia did, it's not even working out in their damn favor. That's why I don't agree with it. I don't see it. I don't see that there's any collusion. I don't see the obstruction, but I may be wrong on the obstruction part, but definitely on the collusion. No. A foreign government interfering with our election, where does this show any favoritism towards the foreign government that allegedly or supposedly interfered in our election? I believe there was that the Syria incident, where we sent in bombs right into, was it Damascus or, yeah, where the president had, bombed his own people with sarin gas or whatever, and so Trump was like, and then sending, a whole bunch of bombs to bomb the fuck out of their Air Force base there. How do you think that was in favor of, supporting relationships with Russia? Russia only ramped up over there, right? Then the incident in Venezuela. Russian officials are out there right now, military, advising the president of Venezuela so they can continue their crazy bullshit, all against the United States. Russia, even Putin has been criticizing the American involvement around closer to the borders of Russia, putting up missile defense systems. How is that showing any kind of favor? Like, oh wow, I don't see it. I don't see the proof in the pudding. I don't see there's any. I just don't agree that Russia really did involve themselves in the American election and interfere. And like I said, it's not showing out in their favor. So I just don't see it. I don't agree with it, but I may be wrong, And again, the Mueller report and the investigation, it was not obstructed. It was still finished, and it came out to the conclusion. It showed all the evidence. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert into ascertaining if the elements of the crime fit or actually did happen. But these are all just my opinion and comments on this situation. But of all people, Senator Elizabeth Warren is the last one I'm going to take any kind of advice of. Not the last, but one of the last. Especially after her Native American comments and that Trump called bullshit on and made her look stupid. And she's constantly going back and forth about what her beliefs are on capitalism and the American economic system. So just noise, man. That's all she is. She's just a little dog barking whenever I hear blah, 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 blah. But of course, I will say that I am not surprised that the Democrats are reacting this way. And more stupid shit is being said about impeachment from the left. And like I mentioned before, especially from AOC and the infamous three. Who, by the way, looked stupid when she was trying to explain about what are the three things that you know that would qualify for impeachment of Trump. Well, I mean, like, tax fraud and the obstruction and more tax fraud. Who knows, man. But every time she I'm surprised that she doesn't have like PR reps, man. That like, probably need to comment down on this stupid shit, Maybe that's the problem. Maybe she doesn't have it. What I thought would be an easy squash to this entire collusion thing, it seems to be dragging on and on for as long as the Democrats can hold on to it and try to squeeze every last drop of any kind of incriminating evidence that may be in this damn Mueller report. Mueller report. Man, holy shit, when will it pass on, man? Like, of all the other good things that are going on in this country, so the economy's going up, people got jobs. We need to work on the healthcare a little bit, but people are working. People are making money. Good money. U.S. Steel is coming back. We're giving America what she needs, a voice, being a good presence in this world, doing what is right for the people of America. Only for them to try to... let's get this guy. Trump has really gotten under their skin, and I like it. I like it. It's interesting when you think about it, because the Democrats, man, they are getting really butthurt about it. Like people on the left. There's so much jokes about it, on social media about snowflake this and libtard that, and I got Trumpers and trumpeters or whatever. More people, like I've said before, more people are involved in American politics now than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That's my view. That's my opinion. All because of President Trump. That's the way I think. Caused us really turn that shit pot. Is getting more people involved. I wouldn't be surprised to see that next year we'll have more people voting than the United States has ever seen before. I really wouldn't be surprised to see that. I'm going to make the assumption, I'm going to guess this. This is my suspicion, and I just think that we're going to get a significant amount of more people voting in next year's election than America's ever seen before. That's the way I feel. I just feel that people get more involved now. Ever since President Trump, ever since he became president, I see people that I haven't heard from in God knows how long, and they get on social media and they just put him on blast, or they disagree with him or agree with him, But I just feel like people just get more involved in it now. And that's a great thing, I understand, but, there's going to be criticism in your beliefs. There's going to be criticism on what I believe. I accept it. But I just think overall that there's more involvement in American politics. I think that is a great thing. Get involved. You know what? Even if I disagree with you, or even if a lot of people disagree with you, there's probably other people that agree with you. But hey, get involved, man. Voice your opinion. Kudos, dude. Go for it. I'm not going to try to say that and try to silence people's opinions. And this is just the way I feel. I just don't think that there's enough for impeachment. I'm probably going to pick up a copy of the Mueller report, and I'll start reading it. Hopefully it's not going to get boring, but because I don't like to read too much, unfortunately, besides like news articles. But I just don't, let this just blow over. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than I originally thought, but it's just going to blow over. And then even like some moderate Democrats are even kind of like criticizing Elizabeth Warren and the others, Maxine Waters and the infamous three, about trying to warn them to not go through this impeachment bullshit because it's going to make the Democrats look very unfavorable come next year for the election, because guess what? The right, and definitely President Trump, is not going to let the Democrats forget about this if it fails, which I'm probably going to guess that it is going to fail and nothing's going to happen. But again, what are your thoughts about it? Leave a comment. I want your thoughts. Was there collusion? Was there obstruction? What did it obstruct? Educate me a little bit, because maybe I'm coming into this topic a little bit blind. I'm a little bit worked up about the Bernie Sanders thing, but that's okay. But if yes, there was obstruction, what was it exactly? Do you think the elements fit? Be interesting to know. So leave your comments. I'd like to hear. Lastly, now this one, I kind of felt like I could give myself a pat on the back, because I want to really touch up again from yesterday's episode on the Easter Day bombings in Sri Lanka. Okay? Now, reports have come in today saying that the current death toll has reached 321 people. Even more people are dying, which I'm guessing that the increase of 31 people from yesterday's numbers was because they were in critical condition and they happened to pass overnight, whatever the situation may be. And from my understanding that even President Trump has extended offer that the FBI will help into investigating into what happened in Sri Lanka. And to retouch on it in the case that if you have not heard what happened, multiple bombings happened on Easter Sunday morning over there, which would have been Saturday night here in the United States, killing lots of people, injuring even more. And this was an organized terrorist attack from an Islamic militant group. We'll just call them an extremist militant group. And I was going off yesterday, making assumptions on, making predictions on thoughts. I was coming to my own conclusions of what possibly could have been the motivator behind this. One of the options that I said was that it was because it may have stemmed from the 10-year civil war that they had in Sri Lanka here in this century. But the one that I was strongly feeling on, which I had a gut feeling of what it was, that motivated this hate crime, this murderous, terrible tragedy that happened, was a retaliation for what had happened in New Zealand, and that terrible incident of the people that had died and got injured in the mosque attacks from the right-wing extremist, white supremacist. Both terrible, terrible incidents. But it was confirmed today by the Sri Lanka government that New Zealand mosque attacks was the primary motivator for these attacks. And I was right about it being targeted against organized religion, Christianity, just like the New Zealand one attack was targeted against Islam and organized religion. And the Islamic State has taken credit for it. And there are supposed videos. And I saw one. I can't confirm that it's the people because they have their shit covered up. But there is video out there claiming that the people that were involved in that attack on Easter were, and it shows the video of them giving their oath to ISIS, in front of the ISIS flag. But my suspicions have so far been correct. And I'm even more angered about this situation because what I feared was going to happen, it's going to happen. It's happening, They're striking fear into the people around the world, and they're wanting to create hate and animosity amongst the organized religion, the major religions in this world, and try to devalue and demoralize the values of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and all the other major religions out in the world, to try to devalue, demoralize what those religions all stand for, which is peace, love. And they want to divide and separate us so that we will fight each other and use religion as the core basis of hate, which is wrong. Now, these pieces of shit organized an attack against innocent people, that were not involved in any way of what had happened in New Zealand. That's what makes it even more sickening. That's what makes it so much more vile. That there is no way that these people had any kind of influence at all of what had happened in New Zealand, but they were targeted anyway because they were an easy target of God-fearing people. And it's sad. I am still left unsure as to what had happened with Notre Dame, but I'm going to be sticking to my gut feeling that that was an attack too, in an attempt to demoralize organized religion and the Christian faith, and to strike fear and hate into the hearts of the people around the world. Now, one thing that I am thankful for, that the Sri Lankan government is not trying to pussyfoot around on this and try to hold back information, which I think the French government is doing, especially when it comes to Notre Dame. But at least they are being bold enough to let the world know the facts of what had happened and like what is the motivator behind this. So that instead of the world being divided with anger, hate, and animosity, that we could come together, hopefully come together, and make it a common goal to destroy the evil of this world, like ISIS, and that we must go forward to let good flourish, and that we now know that ISIS is still a threat out there. Now, I don't know if they're just jumping on the bandwagon to try to take claim for it, like I said in yesterday's episode. Like, if anyone trips and falls and they think it's a terrorist attack, ISIS was quick to jump on that. But I believe that there was probably some outside, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that these three events have happened in short. And I hate to say it, and I think that something else is going to happen too in the near future. And it's really going to start dividing the world even farther, or even try to. But all I gotta say is that when we are faced with such evil and such hatred, such anger, animosity, when they're trying to devalue the organized religions of this world, that don't fall victim to this. Don't let them win by filling your own heart and soul with hate and pointing the finger out that it was the Muslims that did it or it was the Christians that did it. Label them as extremist assholes that took innocent lives. And that we will not stand for that. And that is not who we are, that we want to destroy innocent lives. But we will condemn evil. And that when faced with the conflict of good and bad, that the good would win. Anyway, I think that's going to conclude today's episode. I'll try to calm down here a little bit today. Get some food in my belly. But, again, I really want to thank everyone for coming out. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Today's episode was probably one of the most passionate ones that I've done. If not arguably the most passionate one that I've done. Because this is how I feel. And this is what really kind of like upset me for today. And I really wanted to get that frustration out and really vent it to you guys, the viewers. And I really want to thank you for all the love and support that I've been getting on my Facebook page and the Instagram and on here on YouTube. And if you guys haven't followed on my Facebook page, I'm at the Sweet Lou Special. Information's in the details. Or you can follow me on Instagram at SweetLou777. And a lot of love and support from people out there. I really like it so far. And we're building this community bigger and bigger every day. And I'm doing everything that I can to try to make it light of the situations that's going on, with like memes, jokes, but also with some seriousness of what's going on in the world, because I think that it's important that we know about the truth that goes on, and I like to get you guys' opinions on it. And we've been getting great comments and people sharing their opinions, and I want to keep it going. I love it. I love it so much. Some parts I disagree with, but even today, I jumped to a conclusion on a comment, and I was going to go on the offensive here and be like, I don't understand what you're saying, and then she clarified. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I see, because that's how we're going to learn, is by peacefully open-mindedly having conversations with one another, and so that we can come up with peaceful conclusions. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it all. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. That way you guys can get the updates on when I go live, all my newest videos and content. And I'm doing little by little more every day to try to get this channel and the page better and better, so that you guys will enjoy it, because that's what it was all for. It's for you, the viewers. Thank you again. Have a happy Tuesday. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Hope you all enjoy. Take care.